She smashed a cake into my face and everyone laughed. But seconds later I felt a sharp pressure inside my head, and by the time the ER doctor looked at my x-ray, the room went silent, because what that image revealed turned a harmless joke into a fight for my life, and the truth they discovered would change how my family sees laughter forever. The room smelled of sugar and candles as laughter echoed off the walls, and my sister lifted the cake under the warm yellow light, frosting shining as I leaned forward to blow out the candles. Then cold cream slammed into my face with a wet, heavy sound, and everyone laughed while my nose burned. Something sharp pressed behind my eyes, metal mixed with sweetness on my tongue. The room tilted, my vision blurred, pressure grew inside my head, laughter faded, the floor felt soft, words failed to come out, white spots filled my sight, pain pulsed deep, sirens replaced laughter, red lights flashed, the ambulance air smelled of plastic and antiseptic. Every bump sent lightning through my skull, hospital lights rushed past, machines hummed, doctors asked questions, faces changed at the word joke. The x-ray screen glowed, shadows appeared that did not belong. Thin dark lines spread like cracks, voices dropped, the words fracture and bleed hung in the air. My sister froze in the doorway, the joke vanished. They rushed me again as pressure crushed harder, hands tingled, warmth slid down my temple. Nurses called for neurosurgery, new images filled the screen, darkness spread further, and the doctor stepped closer, opening his mouth to explain what they found. The doctor spoke slowly as if each word carried weight, explaining that the image showed more than a simple fracture, and that bleeding was spreading in a way that suggested pressure building inside my skull. His voice steady while alarms beeped softly behind him. The smell of disinfectant mixing with fear as nurses moved faster, gloves snapping on, metal trays clinking. My sister whispering my name over and over from somewhere near the wall, her voice cracked and thin, the ceiling lights blurring again as they tilted the bed and rushed me through another corridor that felt longer than the last, my thoughts stretching and slipping like wet paint, memories flashing of the moment the cake hit, the laugh that followed, the instant pain that never stopped growing, the doctor continuing to talk about risk and time and damage while my ears rang and my chest tightened, oxygen flowing cool against my face. A mask pressing down, straps tightening across my arms, someone shaving a small patch of my hair while another nurse checked my pupils with a bright light that stabbed straight through my head. The pressure inside feeling like it wanted to split me open, voices overlapping about scans and surgery and consent. My sister sobbing now, apologizing again and again, her hands trembling as she signed papers she could barely see through tears, the hallway doors swinging open to Reeve. A colder room filled with larger machines and harsher lights, the smell sharper here, more metallic, my body shivering though sweat soaked my back, a surgeon appearing briefly, eyes serious above a mask explaining that they needed to relieve the pressure before it caused permanent damage, words like minutes and irreversible floating in the air, my heart pounding so hard it felt visible beneath my ribs, my mouth dry, tongue thick, trying to form words that would not come, the realization creeping in that a moment meant as a joke had turned into something that could not be laughed away. The machines beeping faster as they transferred me to another table. My vision narrowing again until faces became shapes and shapes became shadows. Hands working quickly around my head, cold antiseptic spreading across my skin. The surgeon counting calmly, asking me to stay awake just a little longer. Asking me simple questions about my name and where I was, my answers slurring, drifting, the pressure surging once more like a wave crashing inside my skull. A sharp spike of pain stealing my breath, someone shouting for medication, another voice responding immediately, my sister calling out my name from far away as if through water, the ceiling lights doubling then blurring into one, the sense of time stretching thin as fear settled deep and heavy, the knowledge that whatever happened next would change everything, the room buzzing with urgency, the doctor leaning close again, eyes locked on mine, telling me to hold on, telling me they were doing everything they could, telling me that what started as laughter had uncovered something terrifying that had been waiting just beneath the surface, and as my vision flickered and darkness crept closer at the edges, the last clear sensation was the relentless pressure inside my head and the echo of his unfinished explanation hanging in the air. The darkness did not fully take me, and instead hovered like a heavy curtain as voices pushed through it, the surgeon continuing to speak close to my ear, explaining that the bleeding was increasing, and that pressure was pressing against parts of my brain that controlled vision and speech. His words careful and urgent, nurses responding in short, sharp replies. the smell of antiseptic growing stronger as cold air brushed my scalp. My heart beating unevenly now, fast then slow, as if confused. My thoughts drifting to the seconds before the cake hit my face. The warmth of the room, the careless happiness, how fragile that moment felt now, how easily laughter had cracked into fear. Hands lifting my head slightly, pain flaring and then dulling again, someone adjusting the oxygen, another checking monitors, the rhythmic beeping becoming the only thing keeping time. My sister still crying somewhere behind the glass, her face red and swollen, guilt written into every line of it, doctors discussing swelling, hematoma, midline shift, words that sounded technical but felt personal, felt like warning. NGS, the surgeon explaining that sometimes injuries revealed weaknesses that no one knew existed, that the impact had not just caused damage but exposed something already vulnerable, something silent until now, the realization sinking in that this was not only about the joke, but about what had been hiding inside me, waiting for a trigger. The lights above glaring brighter as they moved me again, wheels rattling beneath the bed, the sensation of motion sending another wave of nausea through me, my stomach tightening, throat burning. A nurse noticing and raising the bed slightly, her voice calm but tight, as she told me to breathe slowly in and out, the mask fogging faintly with each breath. My hands trembling against the restraints, fingers numb then tingling sharply, the pressure in my head pulsing in rhythm with my heartbeat, every pulse feeling stronger than the last. My vision narrowing again into a tunnel of white light and shadow, the surgeon calling my name repeatedly to keep me focused, asking me to squeeze his fingers, asking me to count. My responses slow and heavy, numbers slipping away halfway through, frustration rising as my own mind failed me, fear blooming deeper, not loud but cold, the kind that settles in the chest and stays. Another scan ordered, more images appearing on glowing screens, doctors leaning in close, murmuring to each other, pointing at shapes and dark areas that looked wrong even to my unfocused eyes. The surgeon explaining that the bleed was spreading faster than expected, that time mattered now more than ever, that they needed to act before the pressure caused loss of consciousness, or worse, my sister pressing her hand to the glass, mouth moving in silent words I could not hear, the weight of regret filling the room, the joke now feeling like a distant, cruel echo, my breathing becoming shallow as anxiety tightened my chest, a nurse placing a reassuring hand on my arm, telling me they were here, telling me to stay with them, the sound of instruments being prepared, metal touching metal, the cold clink cutting through the haze, my head secured more firmly, my scalp feeling strange, numb in places, overly sensitive in others, the surgeon explaining that they would try to relieve pressure first, that this might buy time, that further steps could be needed depending on how my brain responded, his words careful not to promise safety, only effort, the room growing quieter in a focused way. Voices fewer now, movements precise, the lights shifting angle to focus on my head, the smell changing again as something stronger filled the air, my mind drifting between moments of clarity and waves of confusion. Memories flashing without order, childhood scenes, my sister laughing years ago, birthdays, small arguments, ordinary days that suddenly felt precious, the realization forming that ordinary moments were never guaranteed, that they could shatter without warning, the surgeon asking me again if I could hear him, my answer bar. Ely audible but present, his eyes showing relief mixed with concern. A nurse announcing vitals, another adjusting fluids, my body feeling heavy and distant, as if sinking into the bed, the pressure easing slightly then returning stronger, my jaw tightening against pain, teeth grinding, someone noticing and placing something between them. The lights blurring once more, my vision splitting into double images, then slowly realigning, the surgeon speaking again about risk of herniation, about pathways being compressed, about the need to keep me awake as long as possible, my eyelids struggling to stay open, muscles resisting gravity, the sound of my name anchoring me whenever I started to drift, the hum of machines blending into a low, constant roar, the room feeling both crowded and empty at the same time, my sister finally allowed closer, standing near my feet, her voice shaking as she apologized again, telling me she never meant harm, that it was supposed to be harmless, that she would take it back if she could, her words breaking as tears fell onto the floor, the weight of her guilt pressing into the room, my desire to reassure her battling the weakness in my body, my lips moving slightly, forming words without sound, the surgeon noticing and leaning closer, telling her that right now focus mattered, that regret could wait, that my brain needed calm, her nodding quickly, wiping her face, stepping back though it clearly hurt her to do so. Another surge of pain ripping through my head, sharper this time, making me gasp. Monitors reacting instantly, alarms chirping faster, nurses moving in response, medications administered, my body reacting with warmth spreading through my veins, the pain dulling but not disappearing. The pressure still there, heavy and relentless, the surgeon explaining that the medication would help reduce swelling temporarily, that it was buying them time, his voice steady but eyes alert. The understanding settling that this was a race against something unseen, something happening silently inside me, the room cooling as air circulated faster, goosebumps rising on my arms, my breathing steadying again under guidance, the sense of time becoming strange, minutes stretching long, seconds slipping away unnoticed, the surgeon asking simple questions again, my answers slower now, delayed, but still present, the relief on his face fading slightly as he noticed the delay. The team exchanging brief looks, the tension thickening, my vision dimming at the edges again, darkness pressing closer, the surgeon squeezing my hand, telling me to stay awake, telling me that they were not finished yet, telling me that the images showed something concerning but not hopeless, that the next steps mattered, my thoughts clinging to the word hope like a fragile thread, the machines continuing their steady chorus, the lights unwavering, my sister watching silently now, fear replacing guilt in her expression, the realization settling in that this moment would mark all of us, that laughter would never feel the same, that jokes would carry weight forever, my breathing deep and slow, guided, the pressure in my head shifting again, not easing but changing, like something moving inside, the surgeon noticing subtle changes in my responses, adjusting plans, calling for additional support, more specialists arriving quietly, filling the room with new faces and serious eyes, my world narrowing further, sound becoming muffled, as if wrapped in thick fabric, my thoughts slowing, stretching, each one taking effort, the surgeon leaning close one last time, explaining that they needed to proceed carefully, that the next phase would determine a lot, that IV needed to keep listening, keep responding, keep fighting the pull of sleep, my eyes blinking heavily, my body feeling impossibly tired, the sense of falling growing stronger, yet the pressure still anchoring me painfully to consciousness, the room holding its breath as the team prepared for what came next, the unfinished explanation still hanging in the air, waiting to be completed. The hours that followed moved slowly but steadily as the surgeons worked with careful precision, relieving the pressure that had threatened to steal everything, and when I finally opened my eyes again, the world felt quieter, softer, wrapped in a fragile calm, the pain reduced to a distant ache, the lights dimmer, my sister sitting beside the bed with red eyes and folded hands, relief washing over her face when she saw me awake, the doctor explaining that the bleed had been stopped in time, that the impact had revealed a weakness no one could have known about, and that the joke had not caused it but had exposed it before it was too late. Days passed in recovery rooms filled with gentle beeps and whispered conversations, strength returning slowly, thought by thought, step by step, laughter replaced by gratitude, fear replaced by understanding, and when I finally left the hospital, the air outside felt sharper and cleaner than ever before. Every breath a reminder of how close everything came to ending, the cake long gone, the joke never repeated, and a quiet promise shared between us that some moments deserve care instead of laughter because life can change in a single second, and sometimes survival begins where a terrifying truth is finally seen.